Evening, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Saturday night, strange one for once to do a Saturday night preview before a Sunday night game back at Ellen Road against Aston Villa and what's going to be an important game, at least in terms of getting some points on the board. The next 4 games are not going to be an easy run for Leeds United by absolutely any stretch of the imagination. So a lot of work to do. Daniel Farke came out swinging this week in his press conference. Liked a lot of what I heard. A lot of talk about going back to our aggressive self, back to the basics of what we were doing at the start of the season, and hopefully seeing a turnaround in form and just seeing Leeds being a little bit more difficult and tougher to play against. We'll get to some of your comments now in the next couple of minutes. We'll throw a few up on the screen. We'll break between comments and the statistics and information going into tomorrow's game. But it's an important game, especially the results today. They have not gone Leeds United's way for most part today. And I think if we looked at the fixtures before going into today, there was a couple there that you might just think, if these go away, no matter what happens tomorrow, Leeds still won't be in the bottom 3. However, as it stands right now, Leeds United have dropped, at least for now, into the bottom 3. We can rectify that tomorrow and get back out, at least for a week or so. Anyway, look at the scores. Fulham beats Sunderland 1-0. Be interesting to see now as how Sunderland start to react to this result going into a December when 9 of their players will be missing due to the African Cup of Nations. Nottingham Forest got a ridiculous 3-0 away win at Liverpool. And Slot's got to be in serious trouble there now, hasn't he? That's a thump. That's their 5th loss in a row. That's crazy stuff from Liverpool. Thankfully, Bournemouth got a late equaliser against West Ham to keep them very much close to Leeds United. Burnley lost to Chelsea. The only one barred the Wolverhampton Wanderers against Crystal Palace result that went their way. Palace beating Wolves 2-0. So right now, as it sits, Wolves and Burnley are behind us. We are 3rd from bottom. But a draw tomorrow would get Leeds out of the bottom 3. Just a point above West Ham United. A win, as unlikely as that might sound, will get Leeds above Newcastle, well, depending on how their game against Man City finishes. At the moment, it's just kicked off there as well. So we could be 15th, we could be 18th. There's still a bit of wiggle room there, but you want to see a bit of fight from Leeds now tomorrow. The backs are very much against the wall. And as I said, Daniel Farke came out swinging yesterday. You want to see the rest of the squad come out swinging as well. We'll go through all the rest of the stuff. We'll talk about form guide for both these sides, statistics coming into the game as well, team news for both sides, as well as just likely lineups and just a couple of bits and pieces that were said in the press conferences this week as well. I'll jump into your comments and we'll have a quick chat. I won't probably get through all the comments, but we'll get through as many as we can. Chris is saying tomorrow is now a must-win game. I think it's probably a must-not-lose, Chris, against a very good Aston Villa side who are in good form at the moment. 1 loss in their last 5 games, 4 wins in that spell as well. Tony is saying should be a spicy atmosphere at Ellen Road. Yep, it should be. Congratulations on 2 awards. Thank you very much. And thanks to everybody who has supported us, watched us, commented, liked everything. I really, really appreciate that. I know we don't always agree on everything, and that's okay as long as we disagree in the right way. But yeah, I really appreciate everyone that helped us to get to that. So yeah, massive thanks. A lot of pressure on tomorrow's game. Yeah, there is. There will be pressure for the rest of the season, I think, now as well, unless we start to pick up that form. I think we might be in trouble. I don't know just yet. Let's stay positive as long as we can. Congrats on the award. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. I'm afraid Leeds are going to be relegated with this squad. And Farke in charge. Now in the bottom 3, got to get something tomorrow. We're in the bottom 3 because we didn't play. Let's not lose the run of ourselves just yet. And I know there's been a lot of negativity and a lot of talk this week. Let's try and grab hold of some positivity today at least and look forward to tomorrow's game against Aston Villa and see if we can get something from that. It's tough to be down all the time. So let's try and grab that and get behind the lads tomorrow, get behind the side and hopefully push them through to a decent result. Goal difference isn't looking good. I don't know. The goal difference is wobbly. That needs to be tightened up at the back. We need to stop conceding so many goals. Well done on the award. Appreciate that. Congrats again. Thanks to the lads. Really appreciate that. I think we're down. Why didn't Farke say 100% I'm not going down? He's not going to say that. I don't think you can put that against him. And I say congratulations, Jer, and 2 awards. Really appreciate it, mate. Team effort, very much team effort. I want to say thanks to Andrew Stats-Dalton, Paul Brooker, Joe Blackburn, Jerry McNamee, and everyone, James Wallace, who's done our rebrand, everyone that's helped us with the channel, all the Leeds people that have contributed as well, Adam Pope at the BBC, everyone that's helped us out over the last couple of years. It's been a big team effort. So yeah, I really appreciate it. Bring on Liverpool. I know, right? Of all the games that we have coming up, all of a sudden the Liverpool looks like the one that you might actually get something from. Don't say that just yet. Squeaky bum time. Results today are fine when we spank Villa tomorrow. There you go. That's what you want to see. There is a big thing about this. I'll talk about it more towards the end, but there's a lot to be said for a siege mentality of us against everybody else. And Farke finally jumped into that this week. Sean Dyche did it within the first week of taking over Nottingham Forest. And that's what I want to see. It has to be us against everybody else. We've been too nice this season. We've been too respectful. We've talked about going to established sides and, it'll be tough going there. Of course it is. That should go without saying. That doesn't mean you go there and give them too much respect. And we've probably given teams a little bit too much respect this season. So I was glad to hear that siege mentality from Daniel Farke and a little bit of fight there. And as Paul has said there, let's just go and get a result tomorrow. And then that will change the narrative again. Don't see the bottom three changing much now. Straight into that one, Nigel. I'm very concerned Leeds have dropped into the relegation. Yeah, we've dropped into the relegation, though, because we haven't played today. Let's not add context that's not there. If we're still there tomorrow, then these stand, okay? Aronson starts against Villa. I think you might do. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Steve, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, mate, to you across the other side of the planet. This game will tell us a lot about the players, fans, managers, and owners. It will. If we lose, we'll have at least some happy fans, Farkas, not in the bottom three. But, well, let's give them the chance to get out of it first, yeah? Aronson always starts. I'll say this, and I'm genuinely mean this. I don't care who the Leeds United manager is. I care about the badge on the front of the shirt. And I want Leeds to win every single game they play. So that's what I want to see tomorrow. I want to see Leeds going and getting a win. Big performance needed tomorrow from Farke to keep his job. I think he's safe as a house, being honest with you. I really do think he's safe as a house. Liverpool have been pants, but Leeds will play second fiddle. Yeah. Pressure is meant to be that way in the Premier League. If we treat every game as a cup final in the league, then we'll be fine. Home form is important. Very well said, Mick. Very well said. Farke should have gone a long time ago, but he hasn't. He's still there, so we just got to push on and see where we go in the next couple of matches. Players alternate. That's a huge point, Jamie. The players have got to start taking accountability. That's a massive thing that's not being talked about enough. There's been too many easy goals by too many players not tracking runners, too much basics of the football not being done properly. The players have got a responsibility and they've got to start stepping up. And if the players don't step up, then it's the manager's job to change those players. And if he doesn't drop them, then it reverts to him. But the players have a big responsibility right now. I'm down, brother. Okay, Jamie. I know, mate. I know. It's been a tough couple of weeks, mate, but we've kicking a ball. Congrats on your awards. Appreciate that. Right. Right, Sergio. That's the line. I feel we can get a result. Listen, we picked up 2 awards in Ellen Road on Thursday night. All Leeds TV picked up 2 bronze and a silver award as well at there as well. All the stars are aligning for a Leeds win at home at Ellen Road on Sunday as well. So look, we'll hope. Tony Pulis, what were we, 1996, is it? There's better managers out there, but let's get hope. And I've said this before, and I'll keep saying it. Eat pressure, shit results. Yeah. Thanks, Jason. I like that. Yeah, as I keep saying, look, the best course of action, whether you like Daniel Farke or not, the best course of action, the most stable course of action is that Daniel Farke turns this around and we start picking up some results. No one is expecting us to beat the top 6 teams. Nobody. No one's expecting us probably to beat the sides in the middle of the table. We are expecting to pick up a couple of points at home. And we will talk about that in a little bit more detail in a minute. Slot incoming. Yeah, we didn't get them the last time we were in this position. We'll try and get them now. Well, maybe not. Right, let's get some statistics and get some data up on the screen. Let's start off. We'll talk about the form guide for both sides coming into this game. We'll start off with the current looking league table, which does see Leeds drop into that bottom 3 position. But in the last 5 games for Leeds, 1 win, no draws, and 4 defeats in that time. We've scored 4 goals in those 5 games. We've conceded 11. So far, total this season, 11 games played, 3 wins, 2 draws, 6 defeats, scored 10 goals, conceded 20. So we're not even averaging a goal a game at this point, but we are averaging 2 goals nearly against or just below that per game. We've gotten the 11 points. Daniel Farke and the club consistently talk about the points per game. That could be a tough one to hang on to coming out of this block of 4 games. But with 3 matches at home and Ellen Road's record being relatively good, you just don't know. Leeds could pull a couple of draws, and that would be a good run. If Leeds can get draws at home in these next 3 home games, maybe nick something on the road as well, which won't be easy. You never know. This could turn around pretty quickly. From a home form perspective, and this is important from a Leeds perspective, Leeds have played 5 games at home. They've only lost once at home so far this season. 2 draws, 2 defeats. Scored 6 at home and conceded 5. So we are still conceding a goal per game, but 2 of those did come against Spurs as well. But a clean sheet or at least a more compact defence will be important for us tomorrow. So that's where we're leaning on it. Daniel Farke has talked about 9 wins, 9 draws, 9 of 10 draws this season will keep us in the Premier League. And they've got to come at home. So far, he's got 2. He needs 7 more wins, possibly at home, You're already looking at the amount of games we've played, and we're possibly running out of games at home. But he also needs to pick up 9 or 10 draws. So he will need to start picking up points on the road against sides, specifically after losing to Burnley, against sides we probably weren't expecting to get results against. Let's have a look at Aston Villa's form so far this season. The last 5, they're in pretty good form. They've got 4 wins, no draws, and 1 defeat. They've scored 9 goals in those 5 games. They've conceded 4. And so far this season in total, played 11, won 5, drawn 3, and lost 3. 2 of those defeats coming at the start of the season, 1 in their last 5. Scored 13 goals, conceded 10. But from an away record perspective, this is where it gets a little bit interesting. It's not great for Aston Villa on the road this year. Played 5, only won once, 2 draws, and 2 defeats. They've only scored 3 goals away from home this season, and they've conceded 5. So there is opportunities for Leeds with our home record and Villa's away record for Leeds, maybe to get a couple of goals. And if we can keep it tight, I have an inside track on Aston Villa. My brother's an Aston Villa fan because of all the Irish players that played there when we were kids. So I've got a bit of intel from him. But yeah, they're not scoring huge amounts of goals. And if Leeds can get back to that more compact style of play, that more aggressive, tight marking style that they showed at the beginning of the season. And to be fair, we have shown in most of our home games this season. The second half, maybe against West Ham a little bit. There's no reason why we can't get something out of this game. I genuinely believe that. Let's get into the team news real quick. And from Leeds' perspective, there isn't really any injury news to talk about. It's more a case of talking points than anything else. But Dan James and Willie Gnonto are the 2 major talking points. James is fit, is healthy. He's come off the bench for Leeds in the last 5 games. He had 2 60-minute appearances for Wales during the international break. He scored in their second game, but you were expecting Daniel Farke maybe to talk him up coming into this game. He was very good off the bench against Nottingham Forest. I know it wasn't a great day at the office for anybody, but he gave us something a little bit different. But Daniel Farke has potentially played down his involvement in this game, has basically said he doesn't have enough match minutes and match time in the Premier League level, commented on the caliber of opposition he played against in the internationals, as Liechtenstein being one of those. And you just think that maybe Farke is playing a bit of mind games here with Aston Villa. Maybe he's not trying to give away what his team sheet would be, because coming off the back of that press conference, I think everybody would have thought he's starting Brendan Aronson on the right again, isn't he? So he might just be playing a bit of gamesmanship there and not giving his team sheet away. Willie Gnonto is the other one to talk about before the international break. Daniel Farke talked about Willie Gnonto having an additional 2 weeks that would help him come back from his injuries, 2 hernia surgeries and a calf problem as well. Viewed it as a mini pre-season and will give Leeds a chance to get him up to speed. But then this week in the press conference, Daniel Farke played that down and said he basically doesn't have enough match minutes. Now, the question here is, and the problem here is, where's Willie Gnonto expected to get these match minutes from? Because he's not getting them from the first team. He hasn't been in the squad for the last 2 games, and he's not getting them from 21s either. So how is he supposed to get the match minutes if Leeds aren't including him in match day squads? But again, there could be an element of this where Farke is just not giving away what he's going to do. I don't know. There's just a bit of me has a sneaky feeling Farke is going to throw a surprise at us. Tends to be fairly predictable about what he does, except when there's been serious pressure against him. If you go back to 2 seasons ago, we were having that conversation around Jorginho Rutter playing as a 9, Joel Pirou playing as a 10. God, we argued about that for weeks, about they should be just swapped. And it was talked about in press conferences. He could put pressure on, and eventually he did it. Caught everyone off guard when he did do it, and we got a few results off the back of that. Last season, it was Ilan Meslier. Huge pressure there, and when the pressure got to a point where it needed to be changed, probably later than it should have been changed, for being honest about it, he made the change. So, yeah, maybe I'm clutching at straws. I keep saying maybe a lot because maybe I'm wrong. You just don't know until he puts a team out on the pitch. But yeah, I don't know. This is the 1 week I'm not 100% sure what Daniel Farke is going to do going into the match, and actually taking that as a bit of a good thing for a change, because if we don't know what he's going to do, and I hope it's not the predictable lineup. Although when we get to the lineups, I pretty much picked a predictable lineup. Let's talk about Aston Villa. They had a couple of doubts coming into the game, but they've all pretty much been past fit now. Matty Cash, Ezri Konsa, Lamar Borgard, and Amadou Onana, all of them were withdrawn from the national sides last week. However, on the latest press conference from them, Matty Cash was a doubt. He's expected to play. Ezri Konsa is also expected to be involved, as is Lamar Borgard. Amadou Onana is the only one who is a potential doubt for the game in the middle of the park for them. They've got a strong midfield as it is anyway, but he's the only one that I will have a late check on him. Right, we'll jump into some comments again before we move on to the next bits. Mark says 9 wins and draws is 36. That's not enough. I don't think it will be this year. I think you're going to need the 40. So he's going to need to pick up another win in there, maybe another win and a draw. So 10 and 10, maybe. Yeah. Agreed. Going to need minimum 40 points. Yeah, I think that. I think you're right there as well, Jamie. Leeds, idealistic target is a point per game. The ambition we must have. I know. I don't know if that's even going to be enough at this point. Someone tell me if a point per game at this point would be enough for the rest of the season to keep us up. I'm not sure. It'd be very tight if it is. Rather laughing, isn't it? As far as we know, everyone is fit, correct? So team selection might tell us Nanto's standing in the squad. Yeah, there was a lot of talk this week about Leeds potentially being open to selling Nanto in January, and I wouldn't be for that at all. He's 22 years of age. He scored in this league already. He looked decent at the start of the season. I wouldn't be up for that one at all. Tomorrow, the day we go 3-5-2. Nigel, I hate to see you get your hopes up like that, because the disappointment on the back of what will happen tomorrow, I would love that. I think Leeds United side is built for that. I think it makes us a lot stronger. Watch Ireland play in the last couple of matches as well. Definitely worked for them. Can be very tough to play against. Every man and their dog know what it's going to be. Very likely, Jamie. Very likely. Just joined. Congratulations. Cheers, Paul. Appreciate that. Team selection, not Tram. Did I have Tram selection? Oh, you wrote that down. Sorry, Paul. My bad. No match minutes. How on earth? That is the point. That is the oxymoron in the room. If that's even the right word, someone will correct me on that, no doubt. Anyway, but yeah, if that is the right word, that is the issue there as well. Jared, non-Leeds related, but were you happy with the World Cup playoff draw? Yeah, I'm okay with it. Yeah, I'm okay with it. I think Ireland away from home are actually probably at their best. Longstaff, DCL, and Brendan would play in the game. Same setup. Nanto wouldn't make the bench. He is still in pre-season training. Well, he said that that'd be done by now. To be honest, Jared, I doubt Farke can play mind games. I don't rule it out, especially at this point. He has to do something different. Congratulations on your award. Cheers, Steve. Appreciate that. Jamie, I have to strap my ribs every time. I think Leeds have safe position. Don't say Jack Harrison at left back. Farke needs to change it up. He does. And I think he knows that. And he did mention that there's little bits that you can read in Daniel Farke's press conference. Little bits. He did talk about maybe shaking things up a little bit. I do think Farke will react and shake a couple of things up. What are his options? Well, he could go through at the back. Jacobi on man the match for Slovenia, playing the centre of a back three. Pascal Strouk playing on the left hand side, and you've got a covering player. Joe Rowlands playing on the right of a back three for Wales regularly enough. Bogle and Gudmundsson can get forward and not have to be so conscious about defending. You can keep that 3-man midfield. You can make it a 2 with Ampadu and Stack maybe, and put Okafor as a 10. You have options there, and you might get Perri then up front with 1 of the 2. So there are options. I don't know if he will change, but there are options. Willie, when he was fit, he used him from the 88th minute. Now that he's fit, Farke doesn't keep him. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of that. Yeah. And I said, I know Farke won't do 3-5-2. Yeah, I don't think he will. Starting a match, I hope he scored first. He took his chance well. He started 2 games, he scored twice. Took his goal very well. Got battered in that game. Got absolutely dragged around the place. Referee didn't give any protection at all. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he does up there. I think he goes back to DCL. I think that's the preferred striker. I like Mecha. I think when he does hold the ball up, he always tries to find the wings. And considering how wide the Leeds wingers are playing, it kind of plays into that. If, and it's a big if, who gets dropped out wide, Bogle and Justin or James and Okafor? I think you could move Okafor in as a 10. That gives you a bit of creative flair in there. You let the 2 fullbacks bomb on and get the crosses in. You put Mecha or DCL up with Piru. Then you get the benefit of that second striker position that Piru's been screaming out to be played in. So, but yeah, it's a big if. It's a big if. Will Leeds Giants a necessity this summer? Were the Giants a necessity? Come and see Freak Show tomorrow. They're just not playing to them. We're not playing to what we recruited for. Deserve to start for me. But agree, I think you'd go DCL. No new managers. Now the new managers have got Forest and West Ham playing. Who on earth could possibly fall to our level? Can't see it now. They had to throw a big bag of money at somebody. There's lots of people. If it doesn't work out for Farke, and they still think it might, I could say I'm not overly convinced he's actually in that much danger. But if they did change it, you've got Bo Svensson, who's again would suit a lot of what Leeds do. Cesc Fabregas is there. Como, big bag of money, Premier League job. Thiago Motta. There's lots of them. There are people out there, but again, the best course of action is Daniel Farke sorts out the issues and we push on. I am hoping that we do actually sell a couple of players in January, use that cash to strengthen with better players plus quality loans. We need to play the PSR game, unfortunately. Yeah, we do. If you haven't seen the update, by the way, I did put a news video out today as well, and there is an update on the new financial rules that will kick in from the 26-27 season that might actually help Leeds United, as PSR will be gone and SCR will be replacing it. Sorry, I've an issue with my nose. It's driving me nuts. All right, let's get to the next part, and we're going to get into we've done the team news. Let's get into some statistics, and yeah, these are old ones. These are going to hang about a bit. So first one up, Mark Viduka is the last Leeds United player to score at home to Aston Villa. It was on the final day of the 2002-2003 season, a long time ago. Leeds' record against Villa is a bit of a mixed bag as well. At home, Leeds have played Aston Villa 15 times during Premier League games, won 4, lost 4, drawn 7. And again, if you look at the home record for Leeds, the away record for Villa, that statistic alone, I don't know, maybe it was a draw in the marking or a draw in our future this weekend. And Leeds' last penalty against Aston Villa was March 3rd, 1992. Gordon Strachan took it, and unfortunately, that was saved. The last time Leeds actually scored a penalty against Aston Villa was Byron Stevenson on the opening day of the 1980-1981 season, the year that I was born. That's how long it is since Leeds scored a penalty at home against Aston Villa. So I'm going for a 1-1 draw, penalty to Leeds, and we scored that goal. There's where my head's at for this one. So yeah, look, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Howard says, in my opinion, there are no better managers available. I think there's loads. There's hundreds of managers in world football. Hundreds. And every manager's available if you buy them out of their contract. That's simple. Bournemouth went off and got Areola. Just loads of them. Loads of them. Last time around we said the exact same thing. We wouldn't pay the money for Areola. And we didn't get him because of that. You got to pay the money. There are tons of managers. World football is a big, big game with lots of people out there as well. There's a Pablo Hernandez doing quite well in Spain at the moment as well, isn't it? I'm joking. Too early for Pablo. But yeah, nice talk. Right, let's talk about the team lineup. Now, again, actually, before we get to that, good show from Nigel. Don't we still have 3 loan options available? We do. And we've been linked with Garcia at Real Madrid, which just seems like a bit of a stretch. But if they're smart with that, and again, the fact that it's a World Cup year, there's a lot of players going to want minutes. Maybe sides that maybe wouldn't normally think about going to, but they don't want to sit on the bench for the second half of the season. Maybe then you can get a couple, a few loans with obligations, maybe strengthen the squad that way. But I think we'll have to sell a couple of players. Here's an interesting stat. I haven't got a single lead score right this season. Then pick a defeat, so you get that one wrong. Okay. Steve Whitesnake on managers, never say never. Yeah, exactly. Look, a manager can turn it around like that in the morning. There's tons of them. I know Gary O'Neill's not an exciting choice, but he's kept 2 teams in the Premier League. So not saying it should be Gary O'Neill. Just making the point that there's managers out there that can do jobs. Roger's saying, well, what a stat. Anybody might think Leeds spent 16 in the Championship and League One. Yeah, I know. Hard to believe, yeah. Liam Cooper versus Patrick Bamford tomorrow. Pat's had some things to say and a bit of a lash out, possibly subtly at Daniel Farke about Joffrey as well. Saying one of the best trainers Leeds had. Blue tinted glasses. Locks, good evening, mate. Great to see you again, mate. Good to see you tonight, fella. Congrats on the clinic and clearing up. Thanks, mate. It was great to chat to you and see you in person, mate. Well done to Locks and the boys over there as well. Fair play to you, mate. And Howard said, let's embrace the opportunity that tomorrow brings, marching on together. Deutsch, Big Sam, never. There's way more than them, Paul. Get your head out of the old UK-based managers. There's tons of exciting managers overseas. And there's possibly Marcelo Bielsa available soon as well. I'm joking. Relax. Someone's got to come after me. Relax. It's okay. I'm joking. Right, let's talk about potential lineups. Now, what I was going to say here was I think Daniel Farke might spring a couple of surprises tomorrow. I genuinely think if you go ignore the repeat things that were said during the press conference and then focus on the different things he said versus his previous press conference. That's what I like to try and read between the lines when it comes to Daniel Farke. Sometimes he says nothing by saying a lot. Sometimes he gives away little nuggets that you can maybe grab onto and see what happens. Also, thank you very much, June. If you could hit the like button, that'd be great. Cheers. So yeah, one couple of things he said was he wants more aggression. Now, we've been talking about Leeds not being aggressive. I don't know, 7 games now at this point, 6 at least in the last 6 games, definitely the last 4. Go back to the first couple of games of the season, and I know I keep saying it, Everton, Newcastle, but that shows what Leeds were capable of. We were tight marking players. There was no space to play. There was no options. We pushed Everton back to their goalkeeper. I don't know how many times in that game. Really well drilled, really well organised, nailed our tactics in both of those games. Wolves away for the first half again. I know we start off a little bit in the second half, but that's Leeds. That's something that has to stop. Leeds sitting back. Look at momentum graphs. Pretty much every game, especially the away ones this season. Leeds dropping off in the second half. That can't happen. They've got to be more on the front foot. And Farke did comment on that as well. He talked about we need more pressing. And that's going to be interesting to see if it's the players that are dropping off or if it's a Farke instruction to drop off. So keep an eye out for that one as well. He talked about going back to our solid selves. Again, going back to those first couple of games of the season. We're conceding too many goals. And again, when we've sat back, we've conceded. So they go hand in hand. And again, that siege mentality. Great to hear that. I felt very positive when I heard that first time in a while. I was like, this is what I want to hear. I don't want to hear my manager being respectful to other teams. I know you don't want to do their team talks either, but you want a bit of fire in the belly, and he talked about that as well. So, look, he's had to come out fighting this week. He's had a lot of criticism, and he's come at it head first. Good. Let's see that on the pitch now as well. Let's hope the players can also grab onto that and they can fight back as well. And yeah, no more respectful Leeds United. Let's start being aggressive again and getting in people's faces and making it uncomfortable to play against us. And at Ellen Road this season, for the most part, and fans are a massive part of this, we've been incredibly difficult to play against and uncomfortable to play against. So that's what we want to see. Right, from an Aston Villa perspective, spoke to my brother today. Hello, Keith. Hope you're well. And he basically said he's very much like me. Villa fans have a similar mentality to Leeds fans, as in he thinks that this is a game that they'll blow tomorrow. That these are the games that they blow. That's what he said to me. But Aston Villa's midfielders, they're very much their strong suit. They play centrally through that middle of the park. They don't tend to go too wide too often. They might change that, seeing how Leeds have conceded goals in the last 5 games, where it's been get to the end line, pull it back, free runner, goal. Ollie Watkins not scoring goals, but they've got goals all around the pitch. And when you look at that midfield options that they've got right now, even with the players that could be out, you've got Onana, if he is fit, quality player in there. You've got Morgan Rogers as well, Yuri Tielemans, they've got Kamara, and Emi Buendia, who quite a lot of Leeds fans didn't want at the start of the season, is in a hell of form right now, scoring goals and getting assists. And it's probably written, had been linked to him for 3 seasons, that he'd probably score tomorrow as well. So we need to keep him quiet. He's been very dangerous, cannot afford to give free kicks in and around the edge of the 18-yard line with the form that he has been in recently. But they do have goals, as I say, from all over the park. So Leeds will need to be tight, compact, marking very, very tight. And again, can't afford to have free runners into the penalty area. We can't have our players standing in our penalty area watching a ball while someone trots in behind us completely free. I know Lucas Perri got a bit of stick for the save against Nottingham Forest, where he palmed it out. But if you look at that from a different perspective, Ethan Ampadu doesn't track that runner. And if Ampadu tracks him, he doesn't score. He just clears that ball away. And you're talking about a decent save. So there's bits there. And their backline, not the quickest backline in the world. Konza probably the fastest. Again, I've been told of what they've got. So if we can keep them quiet, we can get at them a little bit. If we can commit bodies forward, and that'll be interesting to see what Leeds do. Because you looked at Gabby Goodmunson when he made that attack forward against Nottingham Forest, and there was nobody went with him. So Leeds will need to try and commit a couple more bodies forward and try and get a goal. But the first half has been Leeds' most productive half so far this season. Over 70% of our goals have come in the first half of each game this year, our total first half games this season. So that's what we can do. If we can get an early goal, get the crowd in their back, get them doubting themselves a little bit, keep the lead for more than 2 minutes as well, would be nice. And we'll see how we go. But yeah, from a lineup perspective, as much as I say I think Daniel Farke might bring a surprise, there is the other part of me who thinks he'll do this. Lucas Perri in goal, Jayden Bogle right back, Gabby Goodmunson left back, Joe Rodon and Pascal Strouk. Seeing Nyaka Biel substituted, although he was man the match in the back 3 for Slovenia midweek, but seeing him taken off in that game suggested to me that he wants to bring Strouk back in. I think you'll see a defensive midfield block of 3. I think Tanaka will likely come out. I think you'll have Longstaff, Stack and Ampadu in there. Questions on the right-hand side. Okafor should be locked in for the left-hand side. Then you've got Brendan. I reckon he'll play Brendan on the right-hand side for that defensive side of the game, and DCL up top. Now, I'm not saying I would like to see Brendan play on the right side. I do believe Brendan's got a part to play in this side. I think it's probably more likely coming off the bench in those last 15 minutes to help defensively, or be a bit of a nuisance running around, tire out a tired fullback a little bit. I'd like to see Dan James starting right. I'd actually really like to see Willie Nanto starting on the right-hand side, because, again, we saw that little link-up play between Bogle and him earlier on the season. Looked decent, looked creative. Fall off my chair. We saw a little bit more of Willie Nanto being creative rather than having to cut back all the time. So I'd like to see that. I don't know if we will, but that's the change I would make. Mechet and DCL is the other conversation as well. For me, Mechet's got 2 goals and 2 starts. He's scoring goals. Leeds need goals. He can do the hold-up stuff. He's not as good probably flicking the ball on as DCL, but I think his hold-up play is as strong as calvert-Lewin's. And he's definitely a bit more instinctive inside the penalty area when he gets his half chances. So for me, that's what I would do. I would definitely go with Dan James and Nanto on the right. I would like to see Mechet up front, and I'd like to see Tanaka in the middle of the park as well. There is a question mark around Ethan Ampadu. 4 games in a row, 4 free runners, 4 goals. If you can get Ethan Ampadu back to his best and just being his defensive best, he's a fantastic player to have on your side. The last couple of weeks just hasn't looked himself. I don't know what's going on there, but want to see that. He's talked an awful lot about staying tuned in and not being able to switch off in moments in game. Unfortunately, he's the one that's been switching off in some of the games as well. So would like to see him back to his best. I don't think Daniel Farke drops him. He's his captain. That shouldn't mean that you're, safe from the axe when you're not playing well. But I think he probably likely is. I'll jump back into the comments real quickly just to see what the last couple of bits are. Paul is saying, we need a shithouse player in the middle. We never place Kikiewicz for that stuff. I agree with you on that one. Yeah, let's face it. If we beat Villa, I'm sure that means splash the catch or sprat the catch a mackerel or swallow does it. Oh, yeah. One swallow doesn't make a summer. It doesn't. But 3 points in the next 4 would still keep him around that 1 point per game average, which is the goal. I butchered that one, mate. Sorry about that. All of our midfielders, Stack, Ampadu, and Longstaff, instincts are to drop back rather than bomb forward. No one of DCL is isolated. Wingers need to get closer. For me, it's the wingers need to tuck in narrower and be tighter to DCL when the ball goes to him. Farke's words came back to haunt them. We have never been in the relegation places. Guess what? We are now. Well, we're in there only because we haven't played. That's the context, right? But now tomorrow, Venom, that comment might stand up tomorrow. As of right now, a draw tomorrow gets Leeds out of the bottom 3. A win gets us possibly up where Newcastle are, possibly even above Newcastle in 14th, or close to 14th, 15th. So, yeah, it's not a nailed-on comment right now, but it could be tomorrow. But, yeah, the point still stands. Unfortunately, yes, Farke did talk about the need to provide better support. Did talk about that. Do we honestly think Farke has got stuff in reserve, or has he already nailed his colours to the mast? Well, it's going to find out if it's I believe in everything I'm doing to a stubborn level where it starts to impact him, or if he's got a bit of flexibility and realizes what he's been doing isn't working and he needs to change. But he hasn't had the players around to work on an awful lot. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Jared, would you contemplate 2 up front in a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-3? Yeah. Yeah, I would. Outside of that 4-4-2, you lose the extra man in midfield, you lose the game. We can't do it with 3 in midfield. We lose an extra body in there. Not for me, but yeah, if we go 3-5-2, 100%, I think Pirro would be made for that with 1 of the 2 taller strikers, which we didn't have last year, and we do now. And Nine Up D is playing well. I didn't want him, but now I do. See, there you go. There you go. Players have quality. Farke was right that we hadn't been in the relegation zone. Is the table after 3? Yeah. Okay. Jared, does your lead surprise include a Harry Gray cameo? I don't think so. I think he's going to go on loan. I genuinely think they're going to send him out on loan. I don't know how I feel about that. I do see the merits of sending him out on loan and getting him game time at a championship level, like Archie got a championship level. But at the same time, we're not scoring huge amounts of goals. But is he a hold-up striker? Again, would he play in a 2 rather than 1? I think there's more questions to that. Time will tell. Jared, in relation to us conceding too many goals in a zonal mark, is zone marking the issue? Players leaving runners, etc. Somebody else there to pick them up. It was interesting because when the first goal went in against Norwich and Newcastle. Sorry, Jesus Christ, Nottingham Forest. Staring at it against Nottingham Forest. Ethan Ampadu turned to Yaka Biel and was like, who's marking him? And Biel pointed at him and went, you were. That's your man. So clearly there are jobs to mark certain players. The zonal marking on the corners is a bit of an issue for me. I think we should be man marking, stopping runners. I think the runners from deep into the penalty area is more a case of players just not tracking and being drawn to the ball, maybe being a bit panicky, a bit worried, and they're all focusing on the ball and they're not watching what's going on behind them. But there is an issue there. 4-1-4-1, Perri, Bogle, Road on BL, Justin, Stack, James, Tanaka, Longstaff, Nanto, Piru. Well, in that system, you could get Piru in all right, yeah, because the responsibility wouldn't be to hold the ball up. Well-deserved award. It seems a bit of history repeating itself. A core Champo team with mediocre imports. I don't think we can judge. I genuinely think we've got some good players that came in. I just don't think it's settled yet. And unfortunately, the Premier League doesn't give you time to settle. I could be wrong. It's hard. I think this is a better side than what went down the last time. And ironically, the last time when Jesse was in charge, I think we were 4 points better off at this stage and still went down. So the Premier League's mad. Against Cardiff, Willie played on the right and scored with his left when he cut in. So he could do it on both sides. Yeah, he was bought as a striker initially. The sounds of Aronson and Harrison, the same sentence, don't inspire me. I know, yeah. Maybe put Ampadu in a back 3. For me, Ethan Ampadu has been at his absolute best in the defence for Leeds. I think the sides picked by the fans would not be in agreement. Oh, absolutely, Howard. That's where we should disagree. The amount of people that tell me I'm wrong, and I'm okay with that. I am wrong a lot of times, so it's okay. But yeah, we will disagree on stuff. Jared, I'd rather have you coach Leeds United than your Farke and Parker are proven multiple Premier League losers. I'm not capable of that job, man. Gallagher scored again today. He did, yeah. He's on flying form. Not easy when other clubs have far more valuable squads, though. No, it's not. I hope when Dia doesn't play the match over DCL, he is causing more problems for defenders. Are Sunderland going to drop down the table? They started last season like this, and then the second half dropped off completely. They've got 9 players away on AFCON. They could, but they've got 20 points nearly on the board, 19 already. They should be safe enough at this point. Joffrey scored today makes you think, I know it's championship, but we were championship last year. You know, and we saw players into the Premier League from a championship side the year before. So, you know, he's outscoring Leeds players at this point last year in the championship. So a lot of those Leeds players are in the side now. So there is that as well. Pat Bamford talked at his Sheffield United press conference where he said that Joffrey was the best trainer in the Leeds United squad. Farkas talked a lot in the last week about players showing it in training. And according to Bamford, he was the best player they had in training. So, yeah. Even Jer, if we are in the lead, do you believe we are maxed out in PSR? We are supposedly looking at all the high-priced strikers. Yeah, we are. I think there could be loans in there for a lot of those strikers and maybe obligations at the end of the season. It's a way around it. There was an investor meeting after the West Ham game. Maybe there's a wiggle room there trying to find out. A lot of finance experts say we're not maxed out on PSR, but I do think if Leeds are going to bring in anybody big, then they're going to sell. I think they probably have to sell a couple. There's no point in having players in this squad who are just kicking their heels, sitting on the bench or not in the squad at all, you know. You don't like Brendan Aronson. Nothing wrong with Brendan Aronson. I think Brendan Aronson has a part to play in this squad. Absolutely. No issue, Brendan, at all. I just don't think, I think when we're lacking creativity and you've got a 6-foot striker, I think getting a more direct runner in behind might cause problems. And Brendan does a lot of really good defensive work. Howard, how many fans disagree with me? Yeah, we're all wrong. Wales were better and quicker without Ampadu. He slows down. He does slow us down a little bit. If Farka goes to 3-5-2, we'll be after the international break and more time to practice. Yeah, but except the players weren't there. Although I don't think he needs to practice because a lot of the players he's got already playing a 3-5-2 for the national sides. Recruitment was poor and Farka was part of that. He is part of the recruitment team. Anyone who says he's not part of the recruitment team is not telling you the full facts. He is. He says it himself. And he defended the players that came in this season in 2 press conferences. So can't pick and choose what you believe. Jer, Paul and Joe part of Leeds United View? They are. Joe does the watch-alongs and the press conference reactions over on bigup.com with me. And Paul has been a part of the podcast for 2 years now. So, yeah, and Jerry McNamee as well, as is James, who's in the pictures, who's our designer, who's done all of our graphics for us as well. So, yeah, it's a team effort. Spot on. Yeah. Has Bielsa resigned from the Uruguay? No, he hasn't. Joffrey is the best trainer. Farker Ideology picks best trainers. Yeah. We've been beaten by lesser teams than Aston Villa this season, so I'm not as optimistic as some, unfortunately. You cannot polish a third, and boy, are we in my third right now, 0 prem quality. Yeah, look, it has been negative. It is on paper, it's what, 1 win and 5. It's worse if you go back over a couple more games than that. The goals against is the big issue. We've got to tighten that up. We've got to sort out our defensive issues. Got to start committing some bodies forward and at least try and have a go at teams. If we're going to lose, let's try and lay a glove on somebody as well. Let's just sit back and lose. But yeah, I don't know. Look, I get like this towards the end of every week. I start the week going, if that's it, we're in trouble now. By the end of the week, I'm like, you never know. I could turn this around, get a result here. I don't know. Villa's away record, only 1 win this season on the road. Leeds home record, only 1 defeat at home this season. 7 draws between the 2 sides in the Premier League history. I will take a 1-1 draw right now. Be very happy with that. Now, again, the performance is important tomorrow, and the context of the performance will be important. But as it stands, Leeds are in the bottom 3, but have a game in hand. You win that game, and all of a sudden you're 14 points, and you're 15th in the table, assuming Newcastle and Man City stays the way it is, or Man City win. You get a point, you go to 17th, and West Ham drop back into the bottom 3. So there's still stuff there. As Jason says, you might not be able to polish a third, but you can't put glitter on it. Yeah, well said. Today's results have added more pressure. They have added pressure. There is going to be nothing but pressure for the bulk of this season. We're a new side into this league. I don't know if we've shown the ambition we should have in the summer necessarily. I think we probably should have tried to spend more money. We had half the job, and it's shown, but there is culpability, as I've been saying all season. The ownership have got culpability on probably not getting the players that they needed in the attacking area. Farka has culpability over playing the same players over and over again and not being flexible with his tactics and his style of play and his approach to the game. And the players have huge culpability for the performances they put in when they cross the white line and go onto that pitch. So right across the board, there is culpability. We've just got to make sure that at least the players can go out and put a shift in. And if Daniel Farke can spring a couple of surprises or get us back to how he played against Everton and Newcastle, the narrative changes, the attitude changes, and we see how we go. Good logic, but not much belief in our ranks. I cling to logic when my emotions are telling me we're in trouble. But yeah, we've been good at bouncing back after mediocre spells of the last 2 seasons. I'm optimistic. It's like pulling teeth at Farke press conference. I wish he'd been more transparent. I think if you listen to what he says, there's bits in there. This was more detailed than normal. Liverpool are giving away points. They're possibly 3 for Leeds. Well, I mean, that's what we're going to have to hope for. Everyone else is taking points off them. Why shouldn't it be us? You know, but we've got to start being a little bit more ambitious. We've got to start believing that we belong in this league, whether the players are capable of doing it or not. They've all wanted to play at this level. They've got to start showing that they deserve to be here and putting in performances. Steve's going for a 4-1 Leeds United win. We've shown what we're capable of. When Daniel Farke has had his back to the wall, he has pulled results out of the bag. Tomorrow will be a great day to pull a result out of the bag. We'll be over on bigup.com about 1:30, 30 minutes before kickoff. If you want to come over and join us for a watch along, bit of commentary, bit of a laugh, bit of a giggle. We'll try and enjoy ourselves. And then back over on YouTube straight afterwards the game finishes for the live reaction to the match, and then back to normal on Monday. And we'll see how we go. Folks, have a great rest of your weekend and day. Fingers crossed for a positive result and performance tomorrow for Leeds and get a bit more positivity back around the place if we can. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy your day. Talk to you soon. See you later.